Gridiron Warrior podcast is built for strength and football coaches who want to run the best possible programs for their athletes and their communities. Each episode delivers simple, practical coaching advice that transfers straight from the weight room to the field. No theory, no fluff, no fancy words, just real world strategies from coaches that are living it. So you can build stronger, faster, more durable athletes at any level. From the beginning, I've committed to only bringing on sponsors that I myself use and would confidently recommend to any coach. And that's why I'm fired up to partner with TrainHeroic. TrainHeroic is the platform I use to write programs, run my own training, and deliver workouts to athletes and whole teams. It's clean, it's coach friendly, and your athletes are actually going to go in the app and use it and enjoy it, compared to some of the other ones that are out there. If you're a strength coach looking for a better way to program and get that information to your athletes, or if you're a coach and you just want, plug and play, ready to go training programs that you don't have to build, TrainHeroic is it, okay? And here's the kicker for anyone that is a supporter of the Gridiron Warrior. Start a free 90-day trial of TrainHeroic using the link, trainheroic.com/Gridiron Warrior, and I'll drop 2 12-week training programs right into your account so that you don't have to start from scratch. You can start with 2 12-week programs built in there, tweak them, change them, customize them, and get a good feel of using the app. And those will be in there for you, so you can use those. So head to www.trainheroic.com/Gridiron Warrior, start your 90-day free trial, and reply to your welcome email saying that you want those 2 12-week training programs from me, and I'll make sure you get those. If you're a high school coach trying to bring structure and feedback to your jump and speed training, you need to check out the Plyomat. The switch mat technology is precise, durable, and it's far more reliable than those laser-based systems. More importantly, the feedback is instant. Your jump height, your contact time, RSI, it's all shown on the remote, the controller, and it's logged in their app as well. You can use it every single day as a checkpoint. Are your athletes hitting plyo numbers or thresholds? We use it in season to gauge readiness. You can check their ground reaction force and see if their springs are there as well. It's something that you'll bring out and use every single day in the weight room. If you follow Rich Burnett, the founder, you already know that the education piece is big too. He's a high school guy at heart, and so is the company. So, Plyomat is there to provide everything that we talk about in Gridiron Warrior, actionable results, real service, great customer service, and they're trying to bring jump training to the next level. So happy to support them. Check out the Plyomat. On today's episode, we have Coach Joel Reinhardt from Lafayette College. He's the director of football performance. And we're going to talk about load management. We're going to talk about practice design and how simple tweaks and changes that you can make as a strength coach and things that you can bring to your sport coach in terms of optimizing practice can make a big difference. So we're going to get into those kind of nitty gritty details today and break it down for you guys. Hope you enjoy. All right, we're back for another episode of the Gridiron Warrior podcast. Today's episode, I have Joel Reinhardt on here. Joel, I'm going to let you take it away. You can tell us as much or as little of your background as you want. Obviously, I would love for you to talk about Springfield for a second, seeing as how we are both Springfield people. We'd love that connection. But tell us your story. Tell us how you got here and take it away.
Yeah, so I'm currently the director of football performance at Lafayette College in Pennsylvania. That started out Springfield in 2015. Started there. I was a GA there, and then kind of wound all over the country. That went to Nicholls State in Louisiana, and then from there UMass, and then Stanford, San Jose State, and now here. So a little bit of South, a little bit East Coast, a little California swing, and now back out on the East Coast. I've been all over. I don't think. Got to give a shout out. I met my wife at Springfield. That's a good connection. Lauren Brown.
You never get in trouble for shouting out your wife on this podcast.
Yep. So
you got the little guy now?
Yep. Lincoln, little man, 1 kid, and the dog. Got a little pug.
Yeah.
So
I always ask people that come on, for you've been all over the country, right? You listed all those places. And for strength coaches and for football coaches, it's what you got to do sometimes, right? If you really love this, if you really want to do this, because we're not Nick Saban, right? We're all not billionaires and millionaires. We can stay at one place, and sometimes you got to make sacrifice and do that, but you got to love it. So what is it about strength and conditioning? What is it about football that you love and you're willing to do those things like pick up your family and move and there's got to be a reason why. So what is that why? What is that love?
I mean, it ends up being just the day to day of like coaching the dudes. I mean, the way football is set up is so fun to me because it's like the year lines up with the calendar year where it's like, hey, we start out in January and it's like we're building up and here we go. And then play a little football in the spring and it's the summer training. Like the ebb and flow throughout the year, I really enjoy. Like if I had a normal 9 to 5 where I got 10 total days of vacation all year and all that, like I'm okay with like, hey, I'm going to enter the office every day for the next 4 months. And then in May, would they have finals? I might not come in for 2 weeks. It's just kind of like for both Lauren and I, and Lauren also being a strength coach, it's like that works well for us. Like we enjoy like, oh, she had teams from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then she comes home and she hangs out with our son for a little bit. And then I go into work and have lifts. Like, I don't know, just the normal, like kind of routine of a 9 to 5. Like I can never do that. And I just love the like, um, training the guys, having like the year be kind of its own thing of like, hey, we start in January, like I said, and then it just builds up and then we see how it goes in the fall and then we reset and do it all again. That fits well in my brain and it goes well and I enjoy it. And I mean, I've yet to find anything that I enjoy as much as letting it rip with a football team for 9 months and then seeing how it goes in the fall.
I'm 1,000% with you. I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, like, I can't imagine every week, 9 to 5, come in, come out. The seasonality of college athletics, like there are times where it's really hard and there's long hours. I love those times.
Yeah.
Because I also know that on the back end, there's gonna be times where I don't need to come in at all. But it makes the balance of it, it just feels so good. I'm with you. There's something about it. And yeah, I was talking to somebody again the other day about this too. Like I'm picking up, the classic, right? You're taking 2 plates off a trap bar, right? And you grab 90 pounds, you put it back on the rack because you're a big dog and you don't want to just put a 45 away. I'm like, there's people that don't, like, if they don't go to the gym after work, they don't pick up 45 pounds, like, ever. Maybe a big box from Amazon, like, once every couple months, but it
Yeah.
just blows my mind sometimes. I'm like,
Lauren
I'm
actually said
living
that
the
to me the
life.
other day. We were on a walk and she goes, hey, when do you think the last time, she said like one of our friends' names who's like, he's
We're not gonna rat him out. We're not ratting out your friend.
he's like whatever, he does like mortgage stuff. And he's one of my best friends, roommates from college or whatever. Like, when's the last time you think he broad jumped? And I was like,
Yeah.
when we played, that's 10 years ago. But yeah, just little
Crazy.
things like that where it's like having an active job is a blast. And I mean, the job is like crazy enough where when it's like, we're a Monday off team. So it's like, yeah, when I just have a little bit of open hours for the guys and they're coming in and stretching and whatnot, and I bring my son, like nobody bats an eye. Nobody's like, oh, take your son to work day. It's like, no, we're not doing much today. Yeah, I'm gonna bring my son.
Yeah.
And our
I
OC
mean,
brings his dog. It's like, whatever.
my assistant every Wednesday brings his dog, and that's like the favorite day of the week. It doesn't matter if you're the football team, you're the
Yeah.
swim team, like that Winnie's here and you're fired up about that. And I do the same thing, man. I bring Sundays is kind of, we do it NFL style. You drift in and I'll bring the little guy in and he'll sit on the sleds and he'll be a little extra weight. And it's a good life, man. And I can't imagine. It takes a little bit of time. It takes work. Like you've been around for a while. It takes a while to get to the point where it's like, I'm really happy with the situation you got going on. It sounds like you have that too, which is awesome.
For sure.
So,
Yeah. And when I was at transitioning from Stanford to San Jose State was because we got fired at Stanford. So it was like, I was like, hey, Lauren, move. We had just gotten married. So it was, hey, move all the way across the country. Let's go do this because Stanford was a great opportunity. And then Coach Joel resigned and everybody in the building got fired. And it was like, all right, what do we do? And luckily we got San Jose State. So I moved FBS to FBS without having to move apartments, which is rare. But yeah, so I've been on the backside of that too, where it was everything else has been moving of my own volition because it was a better opportunity that came up or whatever. And that was the one time where it was like, oh, all right, let's
yeah. we figure it out.
Contract a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
all right, well, let's get into the nit and gritty here. And I try and bring on people to talk about one thing. We really focus on that so we don't ramble too much, because I could do that if we really wanted to, and I want to focus a little bit. So big thing I want to talk about, because you've talked about it in the past. I think you do a great job with explaining it. And I would love to get this information out to high school coaches, to get it out to football coaches, to get it out to maybe some smaller coaches in college. Is the idea of load management. What the heck does that fancy word mean? Because I think a lot of people try and sound smart and they have no idea what load management really is. And practice design, because practice design, as much as strength coaches, we want to try and control a lot of the controllables. It really comes down to the sport coach, because they're in control of, maybe I would say 90% of the load management, and then the stuff that we do, at least during the season, is like 10% of it. So nice. Give us the layman, the poor man version of what is load management, a simplified term without the science, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so my guiding question that I lead from in all the roles that I've been in, where I'm kind of the ultimate kind of not decision maker, because that's the head coach, but the liaison to the ultimate decision maker on
what do they call it in the medieval times? You're the right hand man there. You're the
whatever.
Confidant, the confidant.
Exactly.
The special assistant to the head coach.
Yeah, exactly. And in terms of making those decisions where, I don't really get a lot of pushback on my recommendations there. So it's like, all right, I need to be dialed in on these. My kind of central question is, how can we play as much game intensity football as possible while still being fresh for the game? And everything kind of leads back from that. Because if, the technical and tactical side of football is a huge part of it, and we need to get a lot of reps. Everybody's had their defensive coordinator in their ear being like, can I get more reps? And that is, if we can be 100% fresh and ready to go for the game by getting, or throw out an arbitrary number, by getting 100 reps for the game and still be fully fresh, if we only do 80, we are leaving money on the table. So it's not just, you want to stay. The load management certainly has a bad connotation when it comes to like NBA specific context, where it's just, hey, this guy's going to sit out 15 games randomly throughout the year. Where I look at it as, how can we push the limits of doing as much as possible while still being as fresh and ready to go on Saturday, or Friday in the high school setting as possible, and kind of pushing those limits. And where's the ebb and flow? Where do we give? Where do we take? All that. I just go right into. So one of the heuristics that I use for us is, if we are between if we're between 3 and 3.5, I might even slide this a little bit more, like 2.75 to 3.25 game loads in a week, then we're going to be in a good spot. And so that includes the game. So if we count the game as 1.0 units, essentially game units, we have 2 other of those units to mess around with during the week. So I'm able to get pretty precise with that from a GPS standpoint. But honestly, you can get away with it by just looking at time on feet and like how much activity this guy's doing. So an easy way, it ends up being pretty similar, even if you don't look at the catapult data, is a game is 3 hours. And so 9 hours would be 3 games. Don't have more than 9 hours of football activity in a week. And I mean, on field, really moving around or football activity in a week. So that means, hey, I got 6 hours of practice to mess around with if I'm playing on Saturday. Say I'm playing Saturday, Sunday's off. Monday through Friday, you get 6 hours to mess around with of like real football activity. And for us, I don't even count our Friday walkthrough, because it's truly like our guys.
I don't either.
Our guys are in sneakers. It is. Yep. I say if they could do it in flip flops, it's a walkthrough. If they can't do it in flip flops, that's practice. And we can do ours in flip flops. We don't.
Yeah.
We could. And so for us, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we end up pretty much right in that zone. Which for me, I look in the experiences I've been around, if I'm in that 275 to 325 zone, we can keep that up almost indefinitely. And for a 12-week season with a bye week, if we plan smartly around the bye, or any like short weeks we have, we can pretty much keep that up and not have to ebb and flow at all. Once you get to that above 3 into that 3.5 range, if you're in that like 3 to 3.5, call it, that's something where if you're probably get like 3 to 4 weeks of that before you're going to need a decent, like a little back off week, and then above 3.5, it's like, you're probably getting away with that for a week.
Yeah. That's your peak week of August camp or something like that.
And I've seen a season-long this is not a situation I was involved with. I'll tell you after we're done recording, but it was a season-long average of 3.8 for an entire season.
I believe it. I've seen some places
from an FBS team, and they had
grind.
injuries out the wazoo. What do you think? Like last year at San Jose, our year-long average, I think it was 2.85. And the guys felt great every Saturday. He's like, what do you know? And it's not like you would look at our practices and be like, oh, that was super short. Like it just didn't have any nonsense in there. I don't know.
So for roughly high school, we're thinking you got about 6 hours of quality practice a week. Now you can include maybe if you're doing some walkthroughs.
Yeah, you're walking through a little bit.
Stuff like that. You get a little extra in there.
Yeah.
And then, so 6 hours a week and then game day for 3 hours. But I think the thing that people mix up and mess up is this idea of what those 6 hours can consist of. And the idea, and we can talk about it, is this high-low principle. Practice either needs to be really hard and count towards that 6 hours, or it's got to be scaled back.
Yeah.
And so we try to do that. And there's some people out there that I think are really helping the field, because it used to be a lot more common to have, player loads of 4X, like the FBS school you mentioned.
Yeah.
I think things like Tony Holler's Feed the Cats and some of those things are doing a great job of kind of in its own way educating the high-low principle, but explain kind of this high-low idea and knowing that as much as you want to be high-low, you have to get all of your scripting in, you have to get all of your game planning in during a week, and it's not always going to be perfect.
Yeah. So high-low in a football setting is not what, Charlie Francis would envision for a high-low. From like, hey, are you, where are you at from a actual intensity standpoint? Because it's like, I look at it as our football players on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 3 days in a row, are going to run full speed or cut full speed or move another body at full volition all 3 of those days. So in a technical sense, if you're being nitpicky, you could say those 3 high days in a row. But it's more so like varying the stimulus in terms of like area and overall the volume.
They can all be high days, but you can get to a high day in different ways.
Correct. Yeah. So I think of it in football, I think of it as one way to think of it as like big field, short field, like very, soccer's been doing this for years and years. This isn't some new concept, but it's, we don't, like a simple one from like a fall camp perspective is like, we'd have a couple days where almost all of our team stuff was red zone. And, if it was a longer type day, hey, maybe that's when we do some, some extended, like working on 3rd and longs, like, hey, in Indy, our wideouts and QBs are going to work on some of these longer concepts that they've wanted to work on. And, that would be like the high day where the absolute speeds end up being very high. I guess the easiest way to simplify it down from a football perspective is all of the days are going to be full effort, full volition, but can we manipulate the areas so that some of the days are extremely high speed and then some of the days are extremely high cutting, change of direction, and then depending on where you're at in the time of year, maybe you even have like a super high contact type of day. And that contact changes direction day might kind of be similar in one. But yeah, it's manipulating the areas. So it's like, I know that our wide receivers are going to run full speed today, and they did so yesterday, and they're going to do again tomorrow. But I know that they're not, we did all our like super long indie routes on Tuesdays when that's pretty normal for us. I know they're not doing that on Wednesdays. Wednesdays is a slightly longer overall practice for us, but still slightly higher volume. But I know they're not being asked to like truly open up in a big sense. And then Thursdays is a much shorter practice. It's a shorter practice where it's like some of the team scout stuff is full speed, and then some of it is like true walkthrough. But in the warm up, I open them up, give them a little bit longer, like we call it our speed check. That's like that's the easy, like, hey, I want everybody to hit 90 type of thing that I'm checking on. I get a little bit longer time on Thursday pre-practice to do that. So Thursday ends up being like, hey, let's be sharp and fast and focused, but it's not very long. I don't know. So yeah, you are correct. You have to get all the stuff in. You need like to say in a football environment with how much timing is a factor to do a truly extensive practice. I think in practice would end up being nonsense. In theory, it sounds great, but to be like, hey, we're going to do this team period at 75% so that it's a low day. Hey, scout corner, can you do your break at 75%? And then, hey, quarterback, throw the ball at 75%. So the timing of the route ends up being the same. Hey, don't run your 12-yard comeback, run a 10-yard because that's 70. It's like, no, It doesn't work. And so it's just manipulating the areas in which these guys are in and how much contact there's going on for the big guys, so that you just avoid monotony. Because
I was waiting for you to drop that word. Let's talk monotony, because this has been a big thing. We just got catapulted this year, so it took us a while, but we're finally on the GPS train. And it's something that I've been in the background talking about. Hey, we need to kind of like rearrange. I'm not telling you to take anything out of your practice. I'm not telling you to make it shorter, but we need to rearrange what's on certain days. Because I'm with you. I like a longer open it up type of day. So that can be your par downs, that can be your 1st and 10s, that can be your 3rd and longs. Special teams wise, though, that should be your kickoff day. That can be maybe your punt day with full covers. There should be a shorter day. That's your red zone, backed up, goal line, field goal, PAT.
Yeah.
You could do some some kick return, some punt return stuff. Fit there. And then you have like kind of the grab bag day in the middle, right? That's your, second and mediums and some of the special teams. The special teams is the killer. But it's also knowing, okay, hey, today's going to be a big box day. Today's going to be a open it up type of day. That's when we can do one-on-ones midfield, or 7-on-7 open field. But if we're trying to do a red zone or a short yardage, we're trying to contain it a little bit, then can we do one-on-ones in the red zone? Can we do those at goal line distance?
Yeah.
Can we, do we need 7-on-7 on this? Can we cut it down to maybe 2v2 concepts, things like that? But the biggest thing with the GPS, I showed our coaches, I said, our Tuesday and our Wednesday and our Thursday from a how the players feel standpoint looks the same. Yeah, you're doing different things, but it doesn't feel different to them body-wise because it all kind of evens out in the wash. You really need to make days look and feel different if you want to get better recovery out of them and get them ready to go on Saturday. I'm not telling you you can't do all the things you need to do. I get that. I know you need to cover. I know you need to go over X, Y, Z. I know you need to game plan this and that. But when every day feels the same, that's how you start grinding kids out. You don't notice it week 1, but you notice it week 3, week 4, week 5, second half of the season. And it's a trickle-down effect because then the starters get hurt or the starters are taking less reps. Backups are getting overworked. You lose a backup, now the starter has to hold the bags. Like there's trickle-down effects to these things. So give us I talked about it a little bit, but monotony is this idea of your body feels like it's doing the same thing over and over. And eventually it's going to break down if you don't switch it up, and how switching it up promotes recovery.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, there's all sorts of research around long-term monotony, like increasing injury rates, from basically, are you doing the same thing like we talked about? I like to think about it as if somebody like teleported into our practice and they've literally never watched American football and they watched our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, would they come away and be like, okay, there was something different about those 3 days? Whereas like I watch it every single day. I know we're doing this different and this different. But just a little bit of a change up, and even like we talked about those 6 hours, say we stuck to that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6 hours, and you just say, oh, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, easy peasy. It's like, I'm not going to take anything away from you, but if we went an hour 45 and then 2.5 hours and then an hour 45, that would even be more beneficial. And that's just such a simple change. Hey, I'm not taking anything away from you. It's, but just having that little bit of ebb and flow as a mental, if nothing else, for a mental break for the guys, where they can like, they know like, hey, this is a little bit different, as rudimentary as it sounds. Like there's all the research around the physical side of it in terms of injury rates and monotony, and both from a daily and weekly standpoint, or even out to like monthly. But it's so much of it's a mental break for the dudes, like just knowing like, okay, Thursday for me, I'm going to have a handful of full speed reps, and then I'm going to have a handful of walkthrough reps, and then I'm going to have a couple times on special teams where I need to fly down the field. Cool. And I'm not going to be gassed out at the end, but I'm going to get fired up a little bit.
We call it Tough Guy Tuesday around here. Tuesday is our longest practice, our biggest day. The kids know, like, hey, buckle up. I got to be ready to go for that. And
Yeah.
It's funny now with the GPS, I'm showing them the weekly graph and I go, here's Tough Guy Tuesday. Here's, because we're a Sunday off team and then we go Monday. I'm like, here's Monday's practice. And they look at it and they're like, wow, it's like the same amount of work on Monday and Tuesday. I'm like, your Tough Guy Tuesday and your Monday are the same workload. But Monday is an hour long and this is 2 hours long. Do you guys see what the issue is here? So sometimes it's not even, you're right. I think changing the amount of time is good too. But then the second step is, okay, just because you're only out there for an hour doesn't mean you need to jam a ton of things in.
For sure.
It's like, I like to build up to the middle of the week, come down a little bit. And then do you guys do a fast Friday or anything like that?
We don't. So we are Monday.
People do. That's kind of a thing now.
I've done both. I've been in both situations. I'm not going to,
do you care?
I'm not going to
if you had a
table
preference
on it. No,
no.
If it's, if it really depends on what you want to get out of, how comfortable you are pushing it on Tuesday, Thursday. If you are going to go fast Friday and Thursday is going to be a true walkthrough, Wednesday needs to be a banger. and like, that's where if I'm going to do a fast Friday, I'm going to do Sunday off. Monday is still not a whole lot, like maybe even not a practice. It's like a running through type of day. And then it's like Tuesday, Wednesday are bangers, with Wednesday being like, let's rock and roll. Just people get gunshot. I mean, like basically in a fast Friday setting, you're flipping what you do on Thursday and Friday and then shortening it a little bit.
I think with travel and logistics, it's so much easier just to make the walkthrough that day and then, just travel on Friday. If we're playing a Saturday, just travel on Friday, take care of you can do a walkthrough and all that. But
yeah,
I think just do a primer on Saturday if you're trying to like get them up and get them going, just do a game day primer instead. And you kind of getting the same benefits. But we're also a place where we'll practice hard Tuesday and we'll still get after it a little bit Wednesday. We'll still get, we'll run around on Thursday. So we get enough in during the week that I'm like, no, I'm okay with them chilling on Friday and then playing. That's
100%. Yeah, that for me, that's like our speed check Thursday, where it's like, I get every skill guy on our roster above 90% max speed on Thursday, and we have a shorter practice. So that is our kind of like fired up, and that's Thursday, like late afternoon. So like if I'm a morning practice team doing a Friday morning fast Friday, 10 hours after I'm doing a Thursday afternoon, like
What
kind
does that speed check look like on a Thursday? Because I have had some high school coaches ask me like, how do I
so our normal pre-practice warm-up, I finish
end zone warm up and you finish with like couple 40s or something like that?
Yeah,
You
normally
build,
normally
builds.
we finish with 2 10-yard sprints. Okay, break it down. Here we go. And then on Thursdays, linemen I keep, hey, do your 10-yard sprints. And then non-lineman is a 30-yard build-up. We do 2 of them.
Yeah.
And they know kind of what I want from that. We do that as kind of an end of our warm-up in the off season on some like longer days in the off season. And so they know what I'm expecting of that, where it's like, hey, 30-yard buildup where you are building up to full speed, but I only need you at that. I almost think of it as like a 1-yard fly. Like, hey, you're giving me 29 yards of build to give me 1 yard of full speed. Like, It's not but they do a good job of it. It's just, hey, we touched on it. Cool. Because if, like I've been able to do it in other settings where I was a little more individualized around it and we didn't have to fit it into the team warm up. When I was just like the individual guys who actually needed it, who didn't hit it on Tuesday and Wednesday, I would just individually grab them on Thursday during special teams periods and do that. That was when we had a staff of 5 at different scenarios. So it's just me. So we fit it into the team warm up.
Another question here that just popped in my head. Do you think coaches underestimate high speed? So they think they're going fast, they think they're practicing fast, but they're really not? Or are they overestimating how slow they're going? They think they're doing a walkthrough, but they're really doing more harm than good. I think we end up in the middle a lot, and we don't try to end up in the middle, but we do. Is it because we think we're going fast, but we're not? Or do we think we're going slow, but we're really pushing them a little faster than slow?
Yeah. I mean, both definitely end up happening, for sure. I mean, even with some of the players end up doing the over and underestimation as well. There are guys where on our Thursday speed check, I'll be like, how fast do you think you just ran? And they're like, that was 90, coach. And I'm like, that was 82. Shut up and get back on the line. And some of those are kids who are like great dudes who have high effort, and they're just like, I don't know, they slept wrong last night or something like that, And so, but it is, I don't know, with football, like, unless you're going like true hurry up, I don't know, it's tough to like really overdo the like speed there. Like, I mean, if you're following a normal like play clock operation in your team periods, like you're probably good. I mean, you just got to think about it from like a normal drive. Okay, if we're doing normal play clock operations and I'm at like play 12, 13, 14, like it's a long drive. There's probably a media timeout in there somewhere, just finding ways to split that up a little bit. And, most do with, racks of 4, 6, 8, depending on, what you're working on. But yeah, definitely the underestimation of how slow you're going at times when you want to be slow definitely bleeds into pre-practice walkthroughs, and not so much. I don't really see this on like Friday walkthroughs. I've never really seen that because I think coaches kind of get like, you got to back off. But yeah, I've definitely been in scenarios, and we do a good job of here where it is like our pre-practice is like a true walkthrough, and some of the stuff that our individual positions do pre-practice is like extensive positional stuff where it's like a warm up. It is warm up in nature where it's like, cool, that's what we want to be doing. But yeah, I've definitely seen the like 30-minute long pre-practice walkthrough that is not a walkthrough, and then we're going to the team dynamic, and I'm like, we don't need this dynamic anymore. We just did
that was
we just did everything
that was the run through. That was the run through.
Yeah, so it's just like, okay, cool, give me like a 20-yard sprint so I see you open up a little bit, and now we can go practice.
I'm kind of with you. I think the biggest thing is people underestimate their easy days. They're like, yeah, today was like a light, walkthrough day. I'm like, we just collected 6,000 yards.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
that wasn't so I've had good conversations with our coaches about, let's use barrels instead of a whole scout team out there. Like, we don't need a whole scout team out there running reps if we're going to just do this on barrels on air. Do we need another scout period, or can we use that as like a teach period? And can we slow down a little bit and just, formation checks and things like that? So there's strategies and ideas there. And I think making sure that you're, it's little things like, does your indie work match up with your plan for the day? If it's a big day versus a small field day.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the big areas too is warm-ups, in terms of specifically game day warm-ups. I don't know how you guys are, but I've noticed, like, I've had to really pull guys back because they love getting out there early. And I'm like, man, you just dropped a quarter of a game in terms of yards before we even kicked this thing off. Like,
Yeah.
we had a problem. We had a punt returner. We used to send the punt returner out with the first group, and then he'd go out, catch punts. Then wide receivers would come out. He'd catch balls there. Next thing you know, he had a third of a game load, and we hadn't even kicked the thing off yet. And I'm like, this is our best guy. Does he need to get out that early? Can we, like,
Yeah. I always tell our
if he's
guys,
going to get out there that early, don't let him go out an hour and a half before that.
exactly.
So
Yeah. I tell our guys, if you have a very specific routine, like that pre 90-minute clock, if you have a very specific routine that you do to help you kind of mentally lock in, cool, go do it, and then go sit in your locker and drink water. If you're just out there just to bum around because you don't know what else to do, like, go back inside. And yeah, that is definitely see that. And then I don't know, I think, like, big picture wise, we talked about like the 6 hours, like that, like the 3 game load kind of area, being around that. Biggest thing too is like looking at fall camp, kind of circling further back in the season. We started this year with 4 practices in a row. The first 2 were incredibly dialed, because they were helmets only. Like, we were making sure, like, hey, helmets only, we're not really doing a lot of contact. Let's turn that into 2 straight hours of skelly. And so in the outside of those opening 4, we never practiced more than 3 days in a row. And then from an overall volume standpoint, we kept it in that, our biggest week was 3.5. Might have even been like 3.6, 3.7. But we were in that range for about 6 days, and that was it. And then we got back out of it. And all the kind of minutia of big field, small field, all that, I think that is the, like, 10%. Like, the last handful of years where I've been the kind of tip of the spear in terms of some of these practice volume and ebb and flow decisions. I think that's been 90% of the success around our availability and health and freshness and all that, is coaches listening purely to, like, hey, these days are off, and this is how long we think practice should be. If you completely miss the mark on everything else, we're still going to be all right, because we're hitting those big rocks. Where it's like, there were stretches in camp here where we went 3 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off. So I was like, yeah, if we blow our load in a 2 on, 1 off, like, we have 1 off. Like, okay, like, I know we're only practicing 4 times in the next 7 days. If we go overboard on one of them, it's not the end of the world. Like, I'm not too worried about it, because of that break of monotony of, hey, the ultimate break of monotony is having a day that's 0
off.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that allowed us to, like, and coordinators kind of be like, our coordinators are very aware of this. Hey, what was that like? Are we pushing the edge on some of this? And I'm like, well, yeah, but that's okay, because this is how we planned. And also that allows us to work back on, if we stick to the plan we already had talked about, I've prepared them for it in the summer. And so even if I think it's too much, we got them ready for it. So it's like, even if I think it's 15% more than we should be doing, I cranked up my summer 15% and found a way to do it because the guys are here all summer. So I realized some people are in other situations where they don't get that luxury, but it's if you are good about the front end planning, then you can avoid some of the like panicky, oh, this guy got too many. You're still going to have some individual ones where it's like, hey, this kid got excited in one-on-ones and he did 5 posts in a row and got 500 high-speed yards, but like the truly getting those big rocks in order before diving into some of the minutia around it is big. So it's like, hey, we had 5 3-hour practices in a row. How can we ebb and flow our field size? It's like, well,
start by getting off the field in less than 2 hours,
dial
right?
back a little bit, so
Just change the total number of periods. You got 24, next day only do 21, and then mix an 18 in there once in a while, and then just say that's the limit, and then work backwards from there. And you'll start by doing that. Then if you've got that down and you've got a good script, you're right. I think the last 10% is now, can you tweak everything else in that script?
Yeah.
Make it even. Let's land the plane here. And one last question as we're thinking about workload.
Yeah.
I think this is a very American thing. I think it's part of the the hardworking culture that is the American dream, right? If you work, you're going to get rewarded. And I think it's so prevalent in football, right? Is this feeling as coaches that we need to put more work in. We need to, and I see it in strength and conditioning too. We need to work the long hours. We need to be in here. We need to do all these things. And that's how we're going to get rewarded. But sometimes all that work and all that extra work can be the very thing that sets you back, right? It can be because you did too much work, because you tried to over prepare. You tried to, people would rather lose and be over prepared than be under prepared and win. Which is it's crazy. It's a scary feeling to be like, I don't know if we did enough. So how do you get past that feeling of, hey, we prepared. I didn't want to over prepare them. I wanted to make sure they were fresh and ready to go on game day. But it is a constant feeling that coaches have, is like, did we do enough? Should we have been out there for a little bit more? Should we have gotten another rack of 4 in? How do you combat that feeling?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to do. I don't know. We say to our players all the time, like, don't get too high, don't get too low. Or it's like, we have to be, when we're planning this stuff out, we have to kind of be removed from the end outcome and just look at kind of like the process of what's happening throughout the week, and just like sticking to what has worked, not from just like, oh, this worked before, so we're going to do it again. But like, hey, this is our range of length of practice that still helps our guys feel fresh. And let's stick right in that. And just recognizing that every decision is going to have give and take. I should say there's going to be unintended consequences of every decision we make. And hey, maybe it is a week where somebody's standing on the table being like, hey, we're going to see some stuff we've never seen before. I need a full another team period. And it's like, okay, we can do that, but let's recognize what the cost of that is, and we're going to have to adjust for it in some other area. We can't just bury our head in the sand in terms of like, the humans are a complex system in and of themselves, then working all together is a complex system, and playing against another system is just a whole nother thing. So it's silly to think that you can get 1-for-1 input and output. And so just always thinking critically, and like, if you're going to change something about your normal operation, ask like, okay, if we make this decision, if we're sitting here on Saturday night having lost and the worst possible thing happened in that loss, what is like, how are we going to look back on that decision? And the opposite, like, if we play our best game ever, how are we going to look back on this decision? Like, what is the worst possible outcome of making this tweak? What's the best possible outcome of making this tweak? What's the most likely outcome of making this tweak? And just actually kind of sitting down and talking through that with a handful of people, whether it's head coach and coordinators or maybe it's the whole staff, whatever it may be. But just, there's going to be ebb and flow, give and take. It's like preparing a football team is, mental, physical, technical, and tactical. Like, there has to be ebb and flow between those. But that could be, hey, there's new tactical stuff that we've never seen before. I need an extra team period. Cool. Can we do away with one of these just indie periods that we're not doing a whole lot during? And so that's, hey, take away some of the technical to work more on the tactical, and some movement.
I think for coaches, the biggest thing too is just to have confidence in their coaching ability.
Yeah. 100%.
Hey, I can get my guys ready to go. And if you tell me I only have 90 minutes, I'll find a way of practice to get everything covered. If we got to move a team period and take some indie away, I trust that I can get my kids ready to go with the periods that I'm given. And it's one of those things, I think sometimes coaches don't trust themselves and their coaching ability. So then they're like, I need to keep doing more because the kids aren't getting ready, or they're not getting it, or if you can reach the kids, if you can coach them, if you can get it to stick for them, you don't need to be out there for 90 minutes, and that's where it's like, that's where you got to get creative and find ways to watch film or get on the board and be a little bit more interactive those ways. Yeah. The practice time is just one small aspect of it. Like, that's one opportunity. And then you got to maximize all your other opportunities.
For sure.
Get that thing to stick. You don't need more time on the field. You just need to be better about the time that you do have.
Yes.
Joel, this was awesome. We could have kept going. Maybe we will someday.
Yeah.
You've got your own podcast. Let's get that thing cranked up again. Let's get that rock and rolling.
Oh, we haven't done that in years.
People find you. Get the boys together. Tell Wicket.
We've done more. Each of us has done more external, like, speaking engagements than we've done our own.
You got to get the boys back together for that one. But where else? If people want to ask more questions, they want to learn more from you, you've got some stuff. So where can they find it?
Yeah, we've got our website, sprintjumpthrow.com. I'm on Instagram. I think it's just at Joel Reinhardt. Might be Joel H. Reinhardt. I don't know. I am not on any other social media, so don't try.
Nice.
I've deleted them all. But I have Instagram. So if you reach out to me with some questions or whatever, I have purposefully made my Instagram essentially my digital resume. So if you have any questions about how I would like to train and operate in a football performance setting, you can do 5 minutes of scrolling and have a pretty good idea of how I operate. So, but if you have any questions, let me know. Obviously everything ends up being context specific. How I've operated at Stanford versus San Jose versus UMass versus here. It's all slightly different based on the logistical setups, the team dynamic, the coaching style, all that. So you can't ever copy and paste. So if you have questions about how to, morph things to your specific situation, I'm always happy to talk.
Heck yeah. Thanks again for hopping on, and we'll catch you guys at the next one. If you enjoyed this podcast and you want to keep getting better, I encourage you to check out my new community, the Gridiron Warrior Insiders. Got it right here on the phone. The app is clutch. There's so many things in there that I think you'll find valuable. We have the weekly film study where you can go live with me, ask any questions you want. There's no Q&A, no big deal. I always have a topic that we're going to hit on every single week, and we record those too if you can't make it. We have the Wildcat webinar. That's where I call somebody else in to run the offense, and they come in and they bring a presentation about something that they're an expert in and give us some fresh insight, new information. I have unreleased podcasts. There's about 10 or 15 that haven't gone live yet. You can listen to them early before anyone else. We have the equipment room, so discounts, whether it's TrainHeroic, Plyomat, OVR, or even my own courses. You have discounts in the equipment room. Okay, the free safety, anything that I want to throw in there, bonus programs for yourself as a coach, you name it, it's in there. And we have over 50 coaches right now that are helping each other. So we post questions and coaches will work together and provide insight and share information because that's what it's all about. is coaches getting better. So if you want to check that out, the links are in my bio, the links at the end of this podcast. Check it out there. Gridiron Warrior Insiders.